This is getting ridiculous. So I was just scrolling about, minding my own business, wasting away my whole day on my phone until I came across an article saying that Wolverine has a new enemy. And his new enemy is apparently the oldest villain in the Marvel universe. Alright, I'm going off this article by Arthur S. Poe on Comic Basics, so if I say anything wrong, that's on Arthur S. Poe, okay? And let's be real, I wasn't gonna read this fucking comic anyway. Just to summarize, Wolverine's fighting one of his villains named Romulus, which I must be out of the loop because apparently every Wolverine fan hates this guy. So in the newest run, Wolverine fans were already upset enough as it is that this Romulus guy is back, and this time, this Romulus guy, he's bonded with a new metal called adamantine. Not adamantium, adamantine. As explained in the series, adamantine is actually the primordial spirit of metal itself, and as it turns out, it is a standalone villainous entity that aims to take control of the whole universe. This makes adamantine the oldest Marvel villain known, as it predates even the gods, as it turns out. So essentially, the adamantine is the god of all metal, and since Wolverine has adamantium on his skeleton, I guess they're enemies or something. Listen, guys, I get it. When you're a comic writer under one of the big two, you have to find ways to innovate on every issue and ways to make headlines because otherwise, no one's gonna buy these comics. However, introducing some unnecessary bogged up lore, I'm sick of it, okay? Marvel and DC are always like, what? Why can't we get new readers to our main continuity? Why do they only like alternate world stuff? I don't get it. Because you pull shit like this all the time. I'm not gonna act like I'm the biggest comic reader on the planet, but I keep up with the big changes. Sometimes though, I'm like, bro, what is going on here? One of the most vile examples of this is Batman. They made a video making fun of Batman still being considered human, but he should still be human. Fundamentally, in my opinion, Batman should be the result of a man trying to make his city better than the one that took his parents away. That's why I think we need to address Joe Chill. So in the original iteration of Batman's origin, Joe Chill was just a random mugger who shot the Waynes for some money and a pearl necklace or whatever. This iteration to me is the ideal iteration. But then later, it was revealed that a guy named Lou Moxon, he hired Joe Chill to assassinate the Waynes as part of a big revenge plot. But then later, DC kind of just erased that part of the whole story because, let's be honest, it was pretty fucking stupid. Batman Telltale kind of went that way and the Batman 2022 kind of hinted at it, but largely, thank God, it's been kept the original way. Which is good because Joe Chill isn't really a person in the Batman story, he's more of a microcosm of crime in Gotham, and he should be kept that way, not tied to some conspiracy. The Wayne's murder is 1 in 1,000 in Gotham, and that's what motivates Bruce Wayne to become Batman. Or is it? Spoiler alert, Batman apparently does not have free will because he was chosen by the god of the dark multiverse, Barbados, from the very beginning. Okay, this is gonna get complicated for people who don't really know about this, but I tried my best to research this and I'll try my best to explain it. So Batman got sent back in time to the caveman era by Darkseid, and Barbados, he saw Batman, he was like, yo, I fuck with this guy's bat symbols and shit because I look like a giant bat. I'm gonna make him an avatar and I'm gonna make him my portal so I can enter through him to the regular world in the future. So this Barbados, his influenced Batman his whole life and pretty much guided Bruce Wayne to become Batman because he really fucks with bats. Barbados also claimed to be the bat that Bruce Wayne saw on the night he decided to become Batman. So yeah, Bruce Wayne was always destined to become Batman because caveman Batman was chosen by Barbados, who influenced Bruce Wayne to become Batman, which that Batman went back in time to be chosen by Barbados. It's a whole paradox. I'm of two minds about this. One side, I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. Like, I appreciate the effort to make this whole thing work. It's not easy to re-innovate one of the most iconic origin stories of all time. On the other side though, I'm like, come on. You're telling me that a guy decided to become a bat-themed vigilante because a godlike entity from the dark multiverse infected him back when he was a caveman? What? Imagine if they revealed something like this in The Dark Knight Rises. Everyone would just be like, what is going on? I don't want this multiverse stuff part of his origin, you know? I don't mind it being part of his adventures, but his origin, like, it's way cooler to think that Bruce Wayne became Batman to fight crime on his own vindication, not some dark multiverse god dropping Blue's Clues. And by the way, in the time of making this video, I don't believe this has been retconned yet. This whole Barbados Batman origin tying mystical dark multiverse thing, it's still canon. The Dark Knight's metal event though on its own, see, that's a different story. That was a pretty cool crossover event. We got something different. It was a brand new concept, sick design, sick characters, you know? And it's not just Batman, by the way. If I told you that Spider-Man was chosen by a spider god to become a Spider-Man, would you believe? So the epitome of a regular guy who suddenly has the weight of the world thrust upon his shoulders is suddenly a guy who was chosen by a multiversal spider god to become a spider totem of his world. So this started with J. Michael Straczynski's introduction of Morloon, the multiversal vampire, and Morloon found Spider-Man. He was like, yo, I love me some animal totems, bro. And Spider-Man, you are a spider totem, so let me Nicovado you real quick. I actually have the story somewhere there. It's actually regarded as one of the best modern Spider-Man stories of all time. Anyway, from this point on, this spider totem shit just continued to expand and it started to get really fucking confusing. Shout out to Comic Drake, I watched this video explain the Spider-Verse and, you know, it helped. It helped, yeah, but I was still low-key like, what the fuck? I guess it is cool that Spider-Man's now linked to all the other spider characters of all the other universes, despite them being Spider-Man or not. But I'm just like, he's just a guy from Queens given the tragic dilemma of being a hero in sacrifice of his own life. Like, to me, the spider stuff is a means to an end, you know? Like, the spider doesn't really matter that much. It's like the Joe Chill of Spider-Man. It's more about what it makes ordinary good guy Peter Parker into. I mean, to be fair, I guess the spider totem stuff doesn't really take away from that, but it just recontextualizes stuff weirdly. I don't want to learn that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man only happened because the Spider-Girl was like, yeah, he looks like a good spider totem. On the other hand, this did lead to the Spider-Verse and served as a big inspiration to Across the Spider-Verse, so that's pretty cool, I guess. But is it worth it? Is it worth confusing the shit out of people who are trying to get into Spider-Man in the face with all this shit? I don't know. And speaking of Spider-Man, who knew that Venom was gonna get a fucking Bible-sized package of lore with that anyone who likes Knull as a character isn't a comics fan, they're more of a YouTube Shorts fan. Kidding, kidding. If you like Knull, that's fine, but you should probably focus on reducing your screen time. I'm serious. But you do lose me with how ridiculously overpowered this guy is. Yeah, if you told me that they were gonna introduce the god of symbiotes, I'd be like, okay, but then the guy kills Celestials on a regular basis, he can tear Sentry in half, and he can just beat Thor with ease. The fact that he didn't take over Earth in less than 3 seconds is just, I'm sorry, that's embarrassing. I also kind of get it because there were Venom movies coming out and you kind of have to make Venom his own character from Spider-Man and give him his own history to make some money. Honestly, in terms of lore expansion, all the symbiote stuff, I kind of don't mind it. It's just the execution of it. Because let's face it, it was kind of weird that this alien symbiote just showed up out of nowhere and gave Spider-Man a new costume to sell some more toys. But did we need a whole symbiote backstory? Did we? They're not called symbiotes. The alien race name is the Clintar and they're actually protectors of the cosmos and they're peacekeepers. What? I just think some things are left better as a mystery. And I know it's impossible for comics because you have to come up with stories for fucking 100 years. But this whole symbiote thing just overcomplicates things by a lot. Imagine if Venom wasn't a popular character and someone came up to you and were like, hey, I've been playing Marvel Rivals for a bit. What's up with Venom? I've been playing him a lot and he looks pretty cool, you know? So then you'd be like, well, he was a guy that hated Spider-Man and he bonded with an alien symbiote that also hated Spider-Man and they hated Spider-Man for a bit, but you know, now he's a good guy. But now with all this shit, well, you see, the Venom symbiote actually originates from a planet full of alien groups that imprisoned their god known as Knull, who's incredibly overpowered, by the way. But one symbiote, it left the planet, it bonded with a couple bad guys, so when it bonded with Spider-Man, it wasn't really a fan, and it made Spider-Man worse, so Spider-Man got rid of it. It hated Spider-Man, so it bonded with a guy who also hates Spider-Man, and then they became Venom, but then the symbiote actually left and became attached to a bunch of other people who hate Spider-Man, and now he's back with Eddie Brock, and then he ended up being a good guy, and he saved the entire planet from an invasion of the god that they imprisoned in the first place. I was gonna say that's how you kill a conversation, but I'm actually really surprised I got that in one take. And if you thought Venom was the only big guy to be affected by the sweeping infection of overcomplicating origin stories, well, you're wrong, because the Hulk, yes, the Hulk that everyone and their grandma knows, a household name titular character, he was also affected. I'm not gonna get into this one too much because it's actually pretty highly regarded. It's from the recent Immortal Hulk line. Basically, the Hulk has a link to magic. It wasn't just that one gamma explosion that hit Bruce Banner. It was actually from... Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna spoil it. Just give it a read. Speaking of which, another origin elaboration that people seem to be completely fine with nowadays is the Flash and the Speed. Honestly, this one kind of makes sense because the Flash was kind of one of those characters whose powers just don't make sense half the time. Fun fact, the Speed Force wasn't a thing until Wally West became the Flash. So while Jay Garrick was the Flash, while Barry Allen was the Flash, the Speed Force just wasn't a thing. I know that's pretty weird to us young people. I'll be honest, maybe I'm wrong about the whole Barbados and Spider Totem thing. Maybe a few years from now, people will be like, whoa, wait, Barbados wasn't always part of Batman's origin story? What do you mean Spider-Man wasn't always a Spider Totem? What are you talking about? Because that's honestly how I feel about about the Flash and the Speed Force, which is crazy hypocritical. And you know what? When it comes to the Flash, I'm even more of a hypocrite because I think the Flash introducing the other forces of the universe was the dumbest shit ever. Speed Force is already pushing it, right? But then we got the Sage Force, the Strength Force, and the Still Force. In my opinion, the Speed Force works best as a single entity that lies in the DC multiverse. But to know there are other forces just shoved in there as well, it's not the fucking Lantern Corps. Again, maybe I'm just being a hypocritical bitch, but the Strength Force just sounds so dumb to me. At least the Lantern stuff works in a linear categorical sense, like everyone knows basic colors. But when you look at the Flash, you don't immediately go like, I wonder if there's anyone that's just as slow as the Flash, There's Turtle, I know, part of the Still Force or whatever, but it's not exactly a, whoa, this completes everything I want to know about the Flash. And it doesn't help that when the Flash TV show adapted this, it was some of the most ungodly superhero content I'd ever seen. Would Barry Allen and Wally West Flash have been better off just being two guys who were struck by lightning, mixed in with chemicals, and were able to move fast? Maybe, because it's pretty undeniable that ever since the Speed Force was introduced, the Flash has just become a godlike being. Anyway, I don't have a hand in Marvel and DC editorials, so there's nothing I can do to stop this trend. So what I've done is come up with a couple of origin overcomplication ideas that we would love to see in the near future. I'm sure we'd all... Daredevil's origin. Child Matt Murdock is hit by radioactive waste while saving a man and is blinded while his other senses are heightened. But folks, as the chief editor at Marvel Comics here, I'm gonna demand a change. Because a radioactive splash? That's too simple. We all know Daredevil's a good fighter, we know his dad was a good boxer, but why was that the case? I demand that Matt Murdock is actually a descendant of the founder of the Hand. That's right, his bloodline is imbued with some of his worst enemies' combat and magical skills, okay? None of this he learned how to be a good fighter. What? He learned? No, Matt Murdock is simply faster and stronger due to his genes, okay? His genes belonging to one of his most worst enemies. Oh my god, the drama! This is the new canon, guys. And by the way, that truck with the radioactive waste, yeah, that truck was actually driven by God. That's why Matt Murdock's a Catholic. How could God have been even driving that truck? It's not even a... Okay, fine. It was Jesus, okay? He blessed that toxic canister before pegging it at that boy's head. I don't know. I feel like that part of Daredevil's origin story is kind of the least interesting part about him. Do we really have to do this? Well, that's what they said about Spider-Man, and look what they did. They turned him into a spider Make Daredevil a Tasmanian devil totem. Get that down right now and tell the born again writers. Guys, with the new Superman movie coming out soon, I think it's time we spice up his origin story. Shouldn't that be a reason to not change his origin story? No, because we need to make some sales. Anyways, did anyone else think it was weird that Martha and Jonathan can raise this child like it was their own baby? No, not really. Shut up. Well, I consider that to be a plot hole, and a plot hole that has to be delved into much deeper because to me it doesn't make any sense. Now, this whole situation with Ma and Pa Kent being good enough people to raise this random child, way too coincidental. I think, now hear me out here, otherwise you'd be fired, Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent were specimens sent from Krypton to Earth by Jor-El specifically to raise Kal-El. Jor-El, it turns out, he knew about Krypton's doom way longer than we thought, and he specifically bred Jonathan and Martha Kent to raise Kal-El on Earth, and he sent them in a prototype rocket that would also be used to send Kal-El to Earth once Krypton explodes. Can we just put this in an Elseworld story? No, the Superman story is way too simple right now, and it's way too easy to understand, okay? We need to spice things up. I'm sorry, but isn't the point of Superman being raised by a human couple the fact that he's more human than most people despite being an alien? No, Superman is an alien and his story should all be alien focused. Also, can we please make it that Supergirl isn't actually Superman's cousin? I feel like that would really get the subreddits going. Alright, I'm back. Here we go. I reckon we should fix Joker's story up. Of all characters, you want to fix Joker's origin story up? Yeah, his origin is too confusing and I don't think mystery ever has a place in comics. Anyways, here's what we're revealing in the next issue of Detective Comics. Joker is actually the avatar of Opentos. What is Opentos? Opentos is a sworn enemy of Barbados, the forever linked in the multiverse, destined to fight one another to the very end. Listen, I'm sick of Joker being a criminal, okay? He's been a criminal ever since he was created, and no one wants to see Batman fight a criminal. What? From birth, Jack Napier, yes, we're bringing his name back again, he was chosen by Opentos to become his avatar and fight Batman. It's perfect. Two rivals, forever linked. Get writing, fellas. I want to see it. That sounds dumb. Why is that? Because Joker works better as a mysterious character, and Joker should come in conflict with Batman because of his crimes, not because of this mystical link. I think we're just overcomplicating things. You are so wrong. Batman fans, they like it complicated, okay? All that simple shit, that's for kids, okay? We need to complicate this up, okay? Complicate it up. Complicate it up. Everyone, complicate it up. Woo! Also, can we make Joker unkillable? I know we kind of did that with the 3 Jokers book, but I don't think fans like that because it was too simple, okay? Let's complicate it up. Complicate it up. Am I right, guys? Also, can we make Jack Napier a Wayne? So Bruce Wayne's brother, who the Wayne's dished or something. Oh wait, the Joker movie already did that. And speaking of Joker movies, there was that Jared Leto movie that was meant to happen, but it didn't. I covered a bunch of DCE projects that were meant to happen. They were fully announced, but they just didn't do it because there were a bunch of those. So there you go. Check that out if you haven't already. Check out my Patreon, $3 a month, extra video every fortnight, weekly reviews for comic book shows and movies, and we cover over news things as well. That's for free. You can join us free Patreon. There's free videos on there as well. Check out my Letterboxd, second channel for random vlogs and videos. Check out my Instagram, and that's it. See ya.
10:15 in the open night. I can't help that I feel so lonely. How many times do I have to